Hey, this is Lou Mangello from WDW Radio, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Let's do this.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 74 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And I think that we're all in agreement here. We are all firmly on the side of Han Shot First. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going around the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin.
This is Mitch in Kitchener, Ontario.
This is Chauncey in Indianapolis.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yay.
Hello, everyone.
Chrissy's back again.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
I'm like the erstwhile special guest. They didn't tell me wedding planning was going to be so stressful and have so many things to do. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, you are having a rather short engagement.
This is true.
Like, my sister had a year-long engagement, and she was...
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. This is actually a fairly long engagement around here. But anyway.
Really?
Yep.
Because around here, we got like a 2-year-long engagements.
Everywhere's different.
This is true.
We went the easy route and had somebody else plan it for us, and we just showed up.
Yep.
I'm kind of doing that. I do have a planner who's taking care of a lot of things, so for which I'm grateful, because there is no way I could do this all on my own. Anyway, this isn't the wedding podcast.
No, it's not.
This is how to freak out. That was me making excuses for not being around.
Well, we have got a lot to talk about, both in news and otherwise, because we skipped news last week, because we had a lot to talk about last week. So we're going to jump into news.
All right, so first bit of news is some convention updates. First one is Gallifrey one, which is coming up quickly for those of you who are lucky enough to squeeze in and get tickets, and the fight sold out. Let's see, they have new guest announcements, including Michelle Gomez, who plays Missy, Ingrid Oliver, who is Osgood, Sean Carlson, who is in the Gallifrey series in Big Finish, Andrew Cartmel, script editor for the Seventh Doctor era, Christine Adams, who played Kathika in The Long Game, and sadly there is one cancellation, Katrin Stewart, who is Mrs. Vastra.
Yeah.
She has had to cancel, but that's a coup for Gallifrey one, which they're good at doing that. So yay for them. So enjoy that. And the next guest announcement is a little closer to home for me. Is none other than Jason Isaacs, Lucius Malfoy. Who did he play? General Zhao in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and a whole bunch of other stuff, I'm sure. He's coming to FanX, Salt Lake Con FanX in March. And I was so sad last week when I couldn't be here to squee over the news that Peter Davison is coming to FanX.
Mm-hmm.
The Fifth Doctor, and I'm just like so excited because he is the only classic Doctor who will travel, who is still alive, that I have not yet met, and of course it's my doctor, so I'm just like, and one of my friends who has seen my Fifth Doctor cosplay, she was like, and you already have a costume to beat him in, and I'm like, I know. So I'm excited for that very much. So,
Just
but anyway,
but
yes, Jason Isaacs and FanX, and we've got our tickets, and we're going. It's the end of March, so I'm like, woohoo!
Yay!
Yay, conventions.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for Comic-Con here for them to announce someone that I'm like, oh yes, I'm going now, because right now I'm all like, I'm not bothered.
Yeah, we already had our tickets bought because we were all like, yeah, we're going. Just because
PopCon I'll go regardless, but the Indiana Comic-Con, I wasn't that, as much as I enjoyed seeing Jenna, I was not that impressed with the convention, so right now I'm holding out until they announce someone that I'm like, yes, I'm going.
Yep, fair enough.
Alrighty, well, moving on.
Sorry,
Mark your calendars.
Moving on to Captain America getting his 75th anniversary TV special. So, ABC has announced Marvel's Captain America 75 Heroic Years, a special event airing Tuesday, January 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, just before the Season 2 premiere of Agent Carter. This one-hour special event follows the history of Captain America from 1941 to present and explores how the character has been a reflection of changing times and the world he has existed in throughout the years. The special will feature Marvel stars like Stan Lee, Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Chloe Bennett, Chris Evans, and Haley Atwell, as well as family members of Cap's creators Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. The announcement also teased that Marvel's Captain America 75 Heroic Years will unveil an exclusive announcement from Marvel Comics.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Probably some sort of special comic run. I think they've done that in the last couple of years when one of the characters has hit a milestone anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So
makes sense.
Yeah, but they did the whole Marvel anniversary thing last year, 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah,
it was like
there
75 years of Marvel or 80 years of Marvel, or however long Marvel itself has been around, when they had a whole bunch of people and talking about the history of Marvel and all that. So, but now Cap's getting his own, so I'm sure it will be good.
Cap.
And it'll be on right before Agent Carter. Imagine that. What a coincidence. Oh. Well, that just means I'm going to have to be in front of the TV even sooner on the 19th. Not that I'd be anywhere else.
You're not. I know. I was like, there's like, and this is a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, moving on.
Moving on to our next bit of news. The Librarians has been renewed for a third season.
Yay!
Yay!
There have been some
Heard that
rumors.
this season might be as much as have as many episodes as 15.
Dean has said as of right now it's only 10. They are trying to talk to get more.
That would be awesome.
I want more.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Do more.
Do more.
You guys can do it.
They can do it.
Yeah.
I know
Keep having-
I know when we discussed the Librarians, and I wasn't watching at the time when we did discuss the Librarians, but yeah, since I started watching, it's so good. It seems to have a nice, solid following based on what I've seen on like Instagram and the official Facebook page and all that. But I wonder how many people are missing out because it's on TNT.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it's not like
Watch
on
it.
Hulu or anything.
Right. Well, and it's on
Well,
Sunday
first
nights, and
season's on
you know, you got
Mhm.
something like Once Upon a Time, which is also on Sunday nights. So it's like,
Well, I mean, the way I found out about it last year is because it started after Once Upon a Time's hiatus started, and the show that the ABC was airing instead of Once Upon a Time, Gallivant. Excuse me, it was not very good. I didn't like it very much. And like,
Yep, they're
people started
bringing
talking
it
about this librarian thing. I'm like, what is this? And I started watching it. I'm like, oh, this is, this fills in nicely with that, that gap
Plus
that
my
Once Upon a
Tumblr
Time
spam kind of
is
helped
leaving.
nudge you.
yeah.
Yes, your Tumblr spam did help, as did some other Once Upon a Time fans on Tumblr. Things that they were posting about it, and I'm just like, huh, okay, I like this. Let's give it a try.
It fits right into, if you're
I
a
did, and
fan
I'm
of
like,
like
I
Once
love
Upon
this.
a Time and some of the other stuff we're fans
Yeah.
of, it fits right in.
It really does.
So,
I mean, there was like one interview before this new episode or this new season started. I think it was in Radio Times, and people were, they were asking him, because the Radio Times, because that's in Britain, and they were saying like, oh, they're interviewing Noah Wyle, and they're like, it's very Doctor Who, isn't it? And then Noah Wyle was like, well, yeah, but Doctor Who doesn't have a patent on tweed or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was kind of a funny comment, which is, it was cute.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll be getting a release date for the first season of on the DVD pretty soon.
Yeah, like what,
It needs
what
to
is
get
going
on like
with that?
Hulu or Netflix or something, right up there with Agent Carter.
It is on Hulu.
Yeah, well, it needs to get on Netflix.
It is on Hulu. Yes.
Right up there with Agent Carter. Why is
Yeah.
it Agent Carter?
No
I need to
kidding.
get Chauncey
Like,
caught
what
up on
Agent Carter?
on Peggy's antics.
Yes. That is very true. It's like, why is that taking so long?
I don't know. Dear Netflix, please bring Peggy. Thank you.
We need Peggy. We need our Peggy fix.
Yep. Oh, alrighty. That's exciting. Moving on. Speaking of World War II antics, I guess. Ish.
You can, yeah. It's like, is there such a thing?
I don't know. There was a segue in there, and it didn't work. Anyway, so, Benedict Cumberbatch, keeping with the time-honored tradition of all British and or UK film and television stars doing period pieces, is going to be doing another World War II era film. This time playing, I'm so going to butcher this guy's last name. Jasper Mescaline Line? We're going to go with that. Apparently he was a magician who helped defeat the Nazis in World War II. It is based on a true story, which was then made into a novel written by David Fisher, and I don't know if this guy, if David Fisher's written anything else that I would recognize. I didn't look.
The name sounds familiar, but
Yeah.
I can't think of anything off
But
the top of my head.
apparently he did things including making tanks invisible from the air, hiding whole buildings full of ammunition and supplies. He was part of a special force for subterfuge and counterintelligence, and the group was nicknamed the Magic Gang.
Right, they created inflatable tanks and lots of really interesting
Yeah,
things.
so you're the World War II expert around here.
There's a whole
I've never heard
documentary
of
about
him.
There's a documentary about him on YouTube about the magicians of World War II or something like that.
Well, see, this is the stuff they don't teach us in school when they're teaching us about World War II, because
Right.
they only teach us what the Americans did. When the other allies
Well,
had cool people like this.
I might be speaking about the Americans, and you're speaking about somebody else. Because
Well, I don't know.
I know we hired artists and magicians to create inflatable tanks to throw off the enemy's recon.
Well, there may have been a mix of Americans and other allied countries in this Magic Gang.
Sure.
I
I
guess we'll find out when the movie comes out.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love World War II.
No idea when the film's actually supposed to potentially come out. Probably sometime after Doctor Strange and hopefully Sherlock season 4 get done finished filming. Otherwise, sorry, Sherlock season 4 may get pushed even further out. But I don't think so. It sounds like Sherlock's pretty set on when they're going to start filming, so we're probably looking at sometime 2017 or later probably for this film. But hey, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Does sound like a good one.
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw the Turing. We did the Alan Turing.
Oh, yeah. That one.
The Imitation
Game.
Yeah.
That one was quite good.
It was quite good. So I expect this to be good as well, just because Benedict Cumberbatch is an awesome actor. Alrighty then. And last but not least, we had a handful of trailers and or teasers drop in the last week or so. including a teaser for the Netflix, I don't know if you want to call it sequel or whatever, to Fuller House, which I watched that and I went, my childhood.
Cut it out.
Yes.
I was like,
I'm so excited for this.
It's Danny and Uncle Jesse
One,
and Joey and even Kimmy Gibbler, and I don't even really like Kimmy Gibbler.
Yes.
Like you don't see anyone except for the new dog, but you hear them, and it's like, it's my childhood.
They're all here.
Most of them.
I know.
Except for Michelle.
Well, yeah, they didn't get Michelle. Michelle is not in this one.
No. But still. I was not a huge Michelle fan anyway. She was comic relief, but still. It made me happy.
Yeah, she was the baby.
Yeah. She was the BB-8 of Full House.
Yeah.
DJ was my spirit animal. Yes. No, DJ was my spirit animal. We were both the oldest sisters of, So I was like, she was always my favorite.
That will be on Netflix in February. So.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah. I think it's after my birthday.
Look at that.
Be able to binge watch that soon.
Still.
We also got our first glimpse at the return to the world of, I want to say Harry Potter because it's actually pre-Harry Potter, but the world that J.K. Rowling created for us with Harry Potter. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And there's magic and monsters and wands and... Oh, it's right. It looks exactly like what we would expect from that universe, just older, newer.
Has anyone
older?
It looks wonderful.
It has all the cinematic universes put together on it.
What, of Harry Potter?
No, just this era of cinematography we live in.
With like full expanded universes, not just I don't know.
Because we only really do
check Pinterest. I'm probably someone already has.
There's so many cinematic universes, yet so little. Actually, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you define as a cinematic universe. Like, how many films does it take to create a universe?
Yeah, that's true.
So, maybe I don't know. That's a discussion for another show.
Yes, it is. Jot that one down.
Yes, add it to the list.
Yeah, there's a topic idea for us.
Yeah. All right. And then we got our first trailer for, speaking of cinematic or universes, Star Trek Beyond, which is Star Trek meets Fast and the Furious.
Doesn't that trailer look like Guardians of the Galaxy, though?
Or that, too, actually.
The only one seeing this. I'm like, I can't be the only.
A lot of people are comparing it to the Fast and the Furious trailers, but
well, yeah, because the director he did Fast and Furious, so that makes sense. But I'm sitting here going, maybe it's the music, music choice in the movie is.
I can kind of see that.
They're trying to be Guardians, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I don't know if other Star Trek. I don't know if other Star Trek fans would be, but it's fine.
Mm-hmm. It's cool.
I shan't complain.
No. It looks interesting, though. Definitely intrigued into what exactly is going to be the storyline, considering how much they mucked up the last one.
There's probably going to be a whale in this one.
No, there's not going to be any whales in this one.
Into the Darkness.
Okay. I mean, they didn't muck up Into Darkness because I enjoyed it. It's just they didn't earn that payoff.
Yeah.
Like they're not.
Or they didn't earn that story.
Beyond is set a couple years after Into Darkness, and they're not going to mention it at all.
Yeah. The whole con thing.
From the events of Into Darkness.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably a good thing. Although this will be somewhat bittersweet because this will be the first Star Trek movie after the passing of Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, true. They'll probably do something in memory of or.
Oh yeah, I'm sure in the credits and all that, and I'll be like, tear.
Yep.
If you're a Beastie Boys fan, the trailer's quite fun.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, Sabotage, Beastie Boys.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
See, I'm not up on popular music.
They totally
Perhaps I
missed
should be.
Like, if they really wanted to use Beastie Boys instead of Sabotage, maybe that works into the plot, but they should have just used Intergalactic. The song was Beastie Boys. That just makes way more sense.
I don't know, maybe it does fit into the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, Sabotage probably makes sense, right, for whatever they're writing, but
Probably.
Intergalactic, I think, would have, I don't know, made more of an impact. I don't know. It's just, point of view.
I don't know.
From a certain point of view, yes.
Yeah. And then the last trailer that we got that we'll mention is the first trailer for Independence Day Resurgence, which actually we were discussing that. We were waiting in line for Star Wars the other day, but back. No, I was like, "Ooh, Jeff Goldblum! Yay!"
Yep. Well, it has been 20 years, so
Yes, it has. Yeah, exactly, Jeff Goldblum. And we did get a there's explosions. It kind of looks like a Michael Bay film, just from the trailer.
well,
Lots of blowing up.
It's Roland Emmerich, and he's kind of in the same.
Same vein.
Yeah, pretty much.
No. Lots of explosions and aliens and madness and no Will Smith. And they've explained why his character's not in it, but we will not mention it here. But you can go to the website that they've created for the movie, and it explains it to you.
Oh yeah. There is a reason why he's.
There should be a
Within the Independence Day universe, something happened to his character. Outside of the universe, Will Smith was making Suicide Squad instead.
in the movie. There really
Yeah.
should be a shrine or a statue or something like that to Randy Quaid for saving the Earth last time.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, no, there's
That
no
is true.
Randy. There's no Randy Quaid either, because in reality he's in jail
Oh,
because he's
right.
gone a little psycho.
Just a little.
Just a wee bit.
I have so many friends on Facebook that have the free Randy Quaid picture up. That's so funny.
And he's not
gosh.
in it, at least in the trailer. I think he only appears in one shot, but Judd Hirsch is in. You can spot him in the trailer. So
Oh, cool. And Dean Devlin, who
Oh.
appears of Leverage, also had a hand in writing
oh yeah,
the Resurgence. Yep.
nice, awesome sauce. We'll have to do a Independence Day rewatch before the next movie comes out.
That one won't be too hard. It's just the one movie.
Yeah, that is true.
Best line in the movie: "Welcome to Earth."
Yep.
Punch.
Yep. That I mean. a lot
That
of
and,
movie
that
was
and Randy
filmed
Quaid at the end.
not
Hi,
far-
boys, I'm back.
One of my,
Funny thing about that movie, a lot of it was filmed not far from where I grew up.
Really?
Really?
In fact, I have my seventh grade. I have my seventh grade history teacher is actually has a cameo in that movie. It's like towards the beginning in that bar scene where they're all making fun of Randy Quaid's character. He's one of the guys that's sitting there laughing at him because they all think he's crazy for
That's
talking
awesome.
about aliens and getting abducted and stuff. And he doesn't say anything. He just sits there and laughs.
Sure.
But you can watch it and go, him.
It's like, I know him. And then one of my best friends growing up, her dad was in one of the scenes where they were running away from the aliens. But he's really hard to pick out of the crowd because there's a lot of people running away from the aliens.
That's
A
awesome.
lot of the movie is running away from the
Yeah,
aliens.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But
the
she's
larger
like,
the
"Oh,
crowd,
he's-
the harder it is to pick out people,
he's
you know.
there." Yeah.
Very true. That's cool, though. Alrighty then. Well, that's it for news. So we're gonna move on here, and
Found the spoiler warning?
yeah, I'm gonna have to find Glenn's spoiler horn sound effects he uses on traveling the vortex.
Yeah, the spoilers shall fly, my friends.
Consider yourself warned.
Spoilers about Star Wars.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking Star Wars here, and that it does include The Force Awakens in there, and we've all seen it, thankfully. So that was our biggest concern, is we were sure Chrissy was gonna get to see it.
No, I gotta tell you the story really fast, okay? So Jared and I were just sitting here at home Friday night, just thinking, like what were we gonna do? It was like late Friday night, and we're trying to decide, what are we gonna do Saturday night? Because he was working during the day, and like we like to go do things. So I'm like, it would be nice if we could go see Star Wars, but I'm like, I'm sure they're all sold out. But we checked one, and we checked the theater near us, and we just started going down the list of showings in the evening, and the 7:00 one, there was like 5 seats sold in that showing, and I'm like, you are freaking kidding me. And we like checked and make sure we were looking at the color coding right, and like, nope, that theater is mostly empty. So we snagged 2 tickets. I mean, by the time I think it was like a new showing that they just added, pretty much. But it was like because we'd been looking at them and they were all full, or the only seat was like one here in the corner and one here, right in front of the screen or something. And then. Yeah, it was nuts. And then like last night when we were getting like snacks and stuff, he went to go get drinks and like dinner type things. I was waiting in line for popcorn for like 20 minutes. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, when I went to buy my ticket, the theater was mostly sold out, so I was like not quite at the front, but it was like row D. Like on the edge. I usually prefer to be several rows further back and in the middle, but because those seats weren't available. But I was like, I'm seeing this movie, and I'm going to this showing.
Yeah.
This is the showing that works with my schedule.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't care if I have to look at Han Solo's nostrils anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I am seeing this movie, and I am seeing it at that time.
Exactly. That was kind of the way we felt about it.
Yeah.
So...
I was watching Red Letter Media.
I got a special Force Awakens commemorative cup at the concession stand with a special First Order Snowtrooper topper.
Nice.
I like it.
I was watching the Red Letter Media YouTube channel, and they mentioned that they bought tickets early as they possibly could when they realized they were on sale, and they still couldn't get anything for the opening weekend unless it was like at 1:15 in the morning. So like,
do it.
They did it, and then they recorded their review at 4:30 in the morning and put it up.
Nice.
We saw it at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Friday morning on the 18th, and so we weren't concerned about like popcorn and all that because we just had breakfast.
Yeah.
There were still people buying popcorn and sodas and all that for 9 a.m. Okay, if you want
Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I guess it's one of those things. Like you gotta have popcorn for a Star Wars movie. You just gotta.
Yeah, well, we'd had donuts before we got there, so.
I mean, this is the first time I think I've ever seen on Facebook people posting complaints saying, "Come on, people! Like, let me buy my tickets and let me see a movie at a reasonable time."
Yeah.
The theaters are always sold out.
Well, you insisted on seeing it in 3D, in IMAX 3D. The first time you saw it, and our theater, our closest IMAX, sold out for the Thursday night.
Right.
So our best next choice was 9 a.m. And actually, when we were double checking our time, the theater had actually added a 5:15 a.m. So we were not the first screening of the day Friday morning.
That one's
holy cow!
Yeah.
Holy cow! That's nuts.
Yeah. Because I'm sure there was just so much demand.
Yeah, I mean...
So it's like, can we get people that are willing to come in to work that early to man the theater? Yeah, okay, well, let's sell some more.
Apparently so.
Oh. And that was just for IMAX. So.
Yeah, we just saw it in regular 2D, which is totally fine. really don't care one way or the other.
We'll see it at least once more, if not a couple more times, but it'll be in 2D.
We're going with family on Saturday to go see it again.
Yeah, we're gonna go see it with his parents, but we'll see it in 2D.
My mom's gonna be like,
they live in a small town anyway. 3D doesn't exist where your parents live. Town's too small.
My mom like doesn't go to see movies because she like gets all like tensed up and like on the edge of her seat, and she says she feels exhausted after she watches like an action movie. This one will really mess with her.
She's gonna need a massage or something. Her muscles are gonna be so tense. So anyway, guess we should talk about obviously we all did not that everybody was able to participate, but we did Star Wars with friends leading up to this. So hopefully you'd seen either with Star Wars with friends or on your own time, you'd seen the previous 6 films. We watched them in, I don't know what you would call it, chronological order? Numerical order? I guess numerical order would make the most sense.
Yeah.
So 1 through 6 as opposed to original release order, which would be 4 through 6 and then 1 through 3. Which I think watching, if you don't care about the whole Darth Vader being Luke's father mega reveal in episode 5, then watching him 1 through 6 is fine. Just because the movies get better once you get past the first 3.
Yes, that is true. We did it in machete order, which if you don't know, it's 4, 5, and then you watch 2 and 3, like as a flashback, and then you do 6, and you don't even watch 1 at all because it's not that good at all.
So you still end on a high note.
Yeah, you still end on a high note.
You basically just like inadvertently cut out Jar Jar Binks.
Yes, that's exactly what
you don't need to know about Jar Jar. You don't need to know about Qui-Gon Jinn. You don't need to know about Darth Maul.
I do like Qui-Gon Jinn, so that I'm kind of sad for missing out on. But everything else, don't care.
Yeah, well, and Darth Maul's pretty cool too, as far as villains go.
He is cool.
Yeah, he is pretty awesome, but it's just like his lightsaber really speaks for him as far as his character.
Well, he's just really.
He had like 2 lines.
But his actions and his abilities, and that's because Ray Park. That's all. Ray Park, though. Ray Park is just an amazing ninja.
Yeah, right.
The man is a living ninja.
I mean, that's true. You know, if you really care about the Star Wars universe, one thing to think about and consider is that, you know, like the Jedi and the Sith back then, I mean, they were really well trained, and we see that, right? And nowadays, from here on out, we probably won't see that. I mean, it's really clumsy in The Force Awakens, and that's a good thing, because that's the way it should be. Neither Kylo Ren or Rey are trained as Sith or Jedi, so we'll see.
That is true.
Mm-hmm. Very true. You know, you're the Star Wars person. That and Holly.
Yeah, Holly knows the expanded universe better than I do.
That's because you don't read.
I read the Wikipedia, and that's about it. And I have a few Star Wars like picture
book
books.
series, but I was going to catch up. But now with stuff being cherry picked, we'll see.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is if you're familiar with the Star Wars expanded universe, if you haven't seen.
Out the window.
Yeah, and I knew that going into it. Disney had said that as far as they were concerned, the expanded universe is not canon, but they would also pick and choose elements out of it and adapt them as they saw fit for the storyline that they want to tell. And in our chat on Facebook, I likened it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you've got the source material with the Marvel comic series, and the major players are there, but the storylines are tweaked and cherry-picked for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's in the same vein as, you know, in the comic books, Hank Pym is the creator of Ultron. obviously that's not the case in the MCU. Tony Stark is a creator of Ultron. So it's things like that. So the source material is there, but it's cherry picked and adapted to fit the storyline that they want to tell.
Which makes total sense, because as good and as beloved as the EU is, to hamstring the movies to fit into that universe, you would probably end up with a bigger mess than Phantom Menace, and nobody would be happy.
Yeah.
So let's just start from scratch. I mean, you can still enjoy the expanded universe. Treat it as like an alternate timeline.
Exactly.
If that makes you feel better,
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there.
They're more like guidelines than rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like the pirate code.
Exactly.
So, but knowing some of the EU, though, going into The Force Awakens, we made some of these assumptions about who some of these characters would be, and it turns out that we're partially right and not right at all.
Yes.
So who?
But that's fine.
Of all,
That's perfectly fine.
Of Force Awakens, like, which character did everybody like the most?
BB-8.
Yeah.
Finn. Well, BB-8 and then Finn.
Yes.
Finn.
Yeah.
Finn.
See, I like Poe Dameron. I think he's awesome.
I like Poe too.
He's cool. He just doesn't have a lot of screen time.
Not yet.
But the screen time he has, he just uses it. You know, he like when he's being tortured by Kylo Ren, it's like, come on, let's do this. You know, he's like all, he's real brave. You know, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll totally give him that. It's just I wanted more of him.
I think we're going to get a lot more of Poe in Rogue One. So, and then in the next film. Because we're getting Rogue One before Episode 8, and Rogue One, as far as I understand it, is going to be a focus on like the X-Wing pilots.
Mm-hmm.
So,
one thing I couldn't believe is Poe Dameron somehow managed to shoot a stormtrooper standing next to Han Solo while Han Solo and Chewie are basically like holding the, you know, like basically captive. It's like that's pretty amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Shoot him with an X-wing. That's crazy.
That's some pretty good aim.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, he's considered the best pilot in the Resistance. Yeah. So,
I was impressed that the stormtroopers' aim seems to be a lot better now.
Yeah,
that's because they're not clones.
That is true.
Maybe it's because they're actual people and not clones.
I think this is the first Star Wars where the lasers like make an impact. It actually like it's kind of scary. Like it actually looks like a bullet hitting something. Like it doesn't just create a black scorch mark. It actually like knocks down trees and scorches things with a big hole in the side of it. They did a good job with their new treatment of weapons, I suppose. And then also like Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Did anyone pick up that it's just not like other lightsabers for some reason?
Okay. So at the beginning, when he holds up his hand to stop the laser blast from Poe,
which that was
it looks
awesome.
like but the laser blast, because now you look at it because it's frozen, it looks like his lightsaber.
Yeah,
like the crackling fire looking. So I'm like, I wonder if Kylo Ren, he made his lightsaber out of just blaster whatever things.
Right, it's like he somehow figured out how to make a lightsaber, but he doesn't quite know how to do it.
He doesn't quite get it.
Yeah, either that or he just made like a custom one because he's really good. It's hard to tell because that's a pretty powerful use of the Force to be able to stop a laser blast in midair. I mean, I've never seen that ever. Right, and then later on,
because usually it's been you block it and it stops.
Right,
or you can deflect it off to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Later on, we find out he's kind of a spoiled brat, and he doesn't quite know the Force yet. But it's like, how does he know that amazing trick? But maybe it's just some new thing he's figured out.
Well, when he takes the mask off, and we've sounded the spoiler warning, so I have to fixate in my head like it's okay to talk about this now.
Yeah.
That he takes his helmet off, and I look at him and like, oh yeah, you are totally Anakin Skywalker's grandson, because I'm looking at him like, this is who Anakin should have been in the prequels.
Yeah.
Bingo.
But obviously the whole temper tantrum bit is a Skywalker trait, apparently.
That him destroying that computer console is going to be the greatest GIF to throw around.
Yeah, really. Flipping the table has gone out the window.
Yeah,
it's destroying a computers
it's
with your lightsaber.
Yeah.
And those stormtroopers just turn around. They walk
Like,
in.
they're like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah.
We're it's okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah,
Like, we can go do something else.
Yeah.
We can go do something else. It's okay.
That's great.
You want to go get some coffee or something?
Weakness droids have job security.
It's like nope, we're out.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the new nope gift.
Yeah. Be right up there with the Doctor and Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
Pyramids of Mars. Nope.
Nope.
Like, out.
I'm out of here. So, yeah, does the thing with the Force Awakens is the major focus was on these new characters, Finn, Rey, and BB-8. And even though we had the original cast in there, it wasn't a, oh, look, it's Han Solo, it's Leia, it's C3, it's Chewbacca, it's C3PO. Like, they don't really get a whole lot of screen time.
Right.
This is very much a pass the torch.
Yes.
Let's do this with new characters sort of thing.
Right. But they also didn't, we got the new characters combined with the, almost like in Doctor Who, like this is new Star Wars, and then you got the classic era.
Yeah.
Actors.
Right.
It's like Mark Hamill is like Tom Baker,
Yep. That is actually a really good analogy.
Rey is now Clara Oswald,
Well, like the same old trick they used with this, though, is that it's new characters finding their place in the universe and discovering what this universe is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Pretty much, yep.
really well done in this movie.
Yeah.
The problem is they've used that before, and now they burn it a second time. So now it's like the next sequence or trilogy or quadrilogy or however long these next setting of movies go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're going to have to defeat the large evil. Well, what other tricks can they do after that? That's the really hard part for the writers. And in the expanded universe, you have what's called the kind of the imminent intergalactic war of this invasion of the entire Star Wars galaxy by this totally massive species called the Yuzong Vong, and they're like locusts basically. They just go from planet to planet, use the planet for their own methods, and they basically just take over these planets. And their ships are actually biological, so they grow their ships and they move on. So in this expanded universe, there's tons and tons of books written about and comics written about this Yuzong Vong War. So I'm wondering if they'll take that tactic and use something like that where like the Sith and the Jedi have to kind of work together because it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation. And maybe later on we'll see the Star Wars movies take a different turn from instead of light and dark to more like, okay, we got to kind of work together, but we're still being we defeat this other evil, how do we get what we want out of it kind of situation. But the point is that they are now, this is a soft reboot whether we like it or not, because they're continuing the story along, but they've basically elegantly recreated like a combination of Empire and A New Hope.
Yeah.
Like those two movies are kind of basically jammed together. And I give that credit to JJ and Larry Kasdan, who wrote this movie and the treatment and the screenplay for this. But Larry Kasdan's not going to be around forever. He's a pretty old guy, and he's probably not going to want to be involved in all the rest of them. So
and JJ's not directing the next one either.
We have Kathleen Kennedy, who will be there probably throughout the rest of it. And she's part of it, but she's not like the kind of the creative lead behind it. So we don't have that Kevin Feige person, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe does, where he can kind of direct the entire thing, from beginning to end for the next 20 years or something like that. Star Wars doesn't have that, so we're a little bit scared on what's happening next.
But you got to remember that regardless of whether whoever's directing or writing and Kathleen and all that it's still Disney and Bob Iger. is at the very tippy top. And
Right.
I just, going into this, there were so many people that are like, oh, they're going to screw this up. J.J. Abrams he's going to screw this up, and it's going to be nothing but lens flares. I don't remember seeing a single lens flare, by the way.
There's a
I think
couple.
the only lens flare I saw was when the Star Killer base shot the thing to destroy the planets, and you see the giant laser beam go across the windows of the ship where what's his bucket was standing there, the general, and there was like a lens flare across the window, and that's it.
Right.
So it wasn't full of lens flares.
No.
It wasn't the Star Trek, series of movies that JJ directed.
The good news here is JJ and team set a tone here for the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, to tell good stories, there's the hero's journey tale, which is always, they come from nothing and they find their place in the universe, and they go through some sort of crucible situation, like Rey did with Kylo Ren. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
She didn't necessarily know she was ever going to have to fight this Sith Lord, or like almost Sith Lord in training, really. So, this is a situation now that's taken her to Luke Skywalker, so it's like, that's a big part of her life now, and we have this hero's journey pretty well in place, but how can we continue this from here on out? Is it going to basically like go from here to the prequels, but they're not prequels anymore, they're sequential? You know what I mean? It's like the government's going to start playing a role in the movie.
I hope not.
You get what I mean? It's like,
we don't really need any more Star Wars politics.
Right.
Not after 6 movies.
It's a hard problem they've created for themselves.
A good chunk of the next movie being Rey trying to convince Luke to train her.
Yeah. I think the way that they've set it up, at least for the next coming film, at least, is now that Luke has been found, especially by Rey, and obviously Rey is a Force wielder, and a very strong Force wielder, and whether that's due to, because we don't know her backstory yet. That's one of the things is, they brought in these new characters, but other than a few lines here and there, we didn't really get a whole lot of backstory. We know that Rey was separated from her family. She was on Jakku, and she was expecting someone to come back for her. It's not like she was, she was lost, but she wasn't completely lost. She was convinced in her head that somebody was going to come back for her, but we don't know who her family is. We know that Finn, which isn't actually his name, that was just the name that Poe gave him, because he doesn't have a name, is the...
How is he?
His name.
Yeah. Chauncey thinks he's Lando's kid.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. Be a good way to bring Billy D. Williams in. I think Billy D. needs to come in regardless of whether Finn is his kid or not. But
Chewie needs a co-pilot.
Yeah. And then, but we find out that Finn, along with all the other stormtroopers, because they're not using clones anymore, what they're doing are taking children, babies from their families, and essentially brainwashing them.
Yes, but they did mention that clone troopers are still on the table.
Yeah. Although it's like
but they have more saying
what the Jedi used to do, like, identify these kids, when they're babies, and take them from their families and train them in the ways of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as benign, because it's the it's the Empire doing bad things.
Yes, exactly. And then you've got Finn and Rey are the two big ones. You've got Poe, but we'll probably get more of Poe's backstory in Rogue One, like I was saying. And then BB-8, all we know about BB-8 is he's a BB unit, but he's completely unique. There's no others like him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So we don't know if Poe built him or if Poe got him from someone. Obviously, BB-8's allegiance is to Poe, and he considers Poe his master. But where exactly BB-8 came from, we don't know. And we don't know what happened. I mean, we can make assumptions based on the conversations and what happened between Han and Leia.
But we don't know what... Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. and hopefully we'll get that. So, because
I like-
regardless of what has happened to characters in The Force Awakens, whether they're alive by the end or not, they have said that everyone is coming back for Episode 8.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see those faces again.
So
How we don't know.
Rachel and I were reading today about how Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor both do Obi-Wan's voice in this movie.
Yep.
And they
I
brought
saw that.
Frank Oz in too.
It's crazy. I think that's
For Yoda.
pretty clever how they did that.
Yeah. Those are things that you didn't want to read before you saw it, but they're cool to read after, especially if you know you're going to go see it again.
Yeah.
Because now you can look for those little things that you missed the first time because you were trying to take everything in the first time.
Like Yoda's voice too. I didn't even notice Yoda's voice.
I think I heard it, but it was in a wait, did I actually hear that, or am I, thinking it was something in my
you
mind?
question yourself, so you can go
Yeah.
see it again.
That's definitely one that,
Looking for those things.
And also,
Yeah.
So let's talk about
I am going
The
to
whole
see it
agent
again
makes
at some
a
point with
cameo
my
appearance.
family.
let's talk about questions that are not answered at all.
Where did Rey come from?
Yeah.
Whose child is she?
Like, what? Who are those gang members after Han Solo?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
you know Han and his business dealings. He
I
just
mean, you
gets
can-
in with the
yeah,
wrong crowd.
Certainly, you can assume, right?
Because he's a
Well, this
scruffy-looking
was-
nerf herder.
This is one of the things
Or he
that
was.
kind of, and
Ooh.
maybe I'm kind of in the minority here, but this is what kind of bothered me a little bit about it. I'm not going to sit here and complain. Oh, JJ, you ruined everything, because he didn't. But this is what kind of bothered me. Okay, so at the end of Return of the Jedi, that you've got Han and Leia, and I love Han and Leia. They're my one of
Your OTP?
My OTP, yes, first ship, whatever you want to call it. And oh my gosh, it's like they live happily ever after. Yay, hooray! And then I find out, 30 years later, oh, they're basically, whatever the Star Wars universe's version of divorce is. And yeah, and I'm like, they're like, I mean, they're starting to reconcile, but I'm like, but they're not there yet. And it's like, okay, well, they'll get there, sure.
Yeah.
And then
Has character is trying to tell Han, hey, get
Yeah.
back to her.
yes, exactly. And I'm like, okay, they're gonna fix this. And then what happens, and
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but
I like how we don't talk.
what did you-
Like,
what
we've
did
all
you
seen
do?
it. We know what
I
happens,
know,
but no one.
I know,
Like,
but
if we
it's
don't
still-
say it didn't actually happen or something.
I know that's
Yeah,
kind of how I feel. It's like I can't say it because it will make it real, and I don't want it to be real.
Chauncey called it. He didn't
I'm
like. He
so-
still didn't like it, but he called it.
Yeah.
No, they did not just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did
Like,
not.
okay, I saw it as I actually saw it before I went. It's people someone spoiling the movie, and I was like, no way, that's a joke. I did not believe it.
Oh,
And then
somebody
I saw
spoiled it for you?
Huh?
Somebody did spoil it for you?
Yeah, but I didn't believe it.
Denial. It's always a handy
I bet
thing.
you
I
were
was
mad
like,
once you found out.
That's not what happens. You're lying to me. I'm not believing this. And then it did happen, and I'm like, crap.
Oh.
Well, apparently, it's been a long time coming. Apparently, Harrison Ford wanted that to happen all the way back in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But it was
Yes,
a noble
but I'm-
reason. It wasn't because he just wanted to be done with it. It was because he wanted more. He wanted to have Han have part of the gravitas of the movie. He wanted people to feel heavy for Han, not necessarily just for the Force and the
Well,
Force
we
users.
did. So you got your wish there, Harrison.
Mm.
Because a lot of people were just speculating that Harrison wanted him to die because Harrison doesn't want to be part of it anymore. But it isn't. He had more of a noble view of it, which is, he thought the character really should, since he's such a lovable character, should be killed, because then it's like, this is real stuff. This isn't necessarily just cartoons
Well,
here.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
and the
they-
other thing
yeah.
is, he's kind of like Han Solo. He's kind of the Obi-Wan character of this movie, because he's sort of he's kind of the mentor. So
He
it's-
finds Finn and Ray and takes them
Mhm.
under his wing, and
oh yeah, like he's gonna like Rey is gonna be his part of his crew and all that stuff. Which I'm
Right.
like, oh, this is cool. I like this. She's sort of the the technical wizard, and I totally thought Finn was going to be a Jedi.
He's just sanitation.
I will. The one thing is, I watch Red Letter Media, and they totally called Finn as like a kind of a red herring, or I don't know what the word is, but like kind of a distraction from Rey. Like a lot of people,
right.
like
Or a red herring.
Is it a red herring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone, I think, going into it thought Finn was going to be the Force user, but he was a good.
Well,
distraction.
I mean, he didn't. Give him credit. He didn't chop his own arm off when he was swinging that lightsaber.
Yeah.
He held his own pretty well.
That was pretty brutal too when he stabbed that stormtrooper right through the stomach with a lightsaber. It's like, man.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like Harry Potter. You can use somebody else's wand. It may not work perfectly for you, but you can use somebody else's wand.
Right. And plus, he can tell his buddies now that he used Anakin's and Luke's lightsabers.
That's true. Except he doesn't have any buddies left in the stormtrooper.
Well, now in the Resistance, he's part of the Resistance.
Yes.
They all look like that.
Him and Poe are going out for drinks right now.
Yeah.
Yes, they are commiserating over the loss of.
Yeah.
Still in denial.
They're drinking
I refuse to accept
spiked blue
this.
milk.
Yeah.
My mom too. She's like, he got him somehow. He'll
He'll be a Force ghost.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but he'll be there.
So, what kind of memes do you guys will think will pop up on Facebook tomorrow about Han Solo?
I have not necessarily Han Solo, but I have already seen a BB-8 meme where it says like, and it has him with his little thumbs up lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've seen on Tumblr a meme of people taking the opening scroll text and putting in fake text for The Force Awakens.
I'll tell you what, the Lucas logo came up, and then a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and that John Williams music started, and I cried. And
when I was watching it, the Lucasfilm logo came up, and there was like a little bit of applause. Like people were clapping for the Lucasfilm logo.
Our theater wasn't quite sure if they wanted to I really, as soon as the music started, I wanted to be like at an NFL game, like woo! And I didn't, but then people started,
we're a little bit like that. They wanted to.
But a few people started clapping, and then the rest of us kind of joined in. And then there was a few hoops and hollers, like, I'm more excited that I'm letting on, but I'm trying to be calm here because everyone else is.
Yeah, when it started, I was like, this is actually happening. I'm in the theater. I'm watching a new Star Wars.
I know.
This is a thing. It's happening.
Yeah.
Believe it.
And there's the opening scroll, and what's it gonna say? And oh my god!
Oh, the best part. Okay, so the first line of the opening crawl is Luke Skywalker is vanished. I'm like, from the trailer and the posters and all the marketing, Luke Skywalker has vanished.
And the movie itself, almost.
Yeah, he's in there like the very end, and that's it.
Yes.
And I'm like, he didn't even have a line.
Nope.
No, just steering.
Yeah.
You know.
What was it you said after we watched it? Yeah, you said you'd seen somebody post on Facebook or something like, "Why was Mark Hamill even at the table read?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jared just walked in the room, and
he got paid the whole time.
Ewan McGregor had more lines than Luke Skywalker did.
Pretty much.
I really wish when she's holding out that lightsaber that he would have walked over to her and at least put his arm on her or something, just to acknowledge that he kind of sensed this would happen, because it's like he looks so confused.
Well, that's the thing is we don't know what he knows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things I was questioning. Obviously, he sent himself into exile after Kylo Ren succumbed to the dark side, and he considered himself a failure.
I'm not sure who said it earlier, but somebody had a good point, which is maybe the next movie will be her trying to convince Luke to train her, because
That was me.
Yeah, so that makes so much sense, because maybe he's just so scared now to train people because he basically recreated what his father went through Kylo Ren.
Right.
Yeah.
He's turned into Obi-Wan.
I wonder too, because
Yeah.
This is another thing that Jared notices, so I have to give him credit. And I'll have to look at this when I go see the movie again. There is some sort of little stone in front of Luke when he's standing there that he's staring at, and it looks like a grave marker maybe.
Huh. So
it's like, maybe and this is totally theory, so I'm not saying one or the other. Like, did Luke did Kylo Ren kill Luke's wife, whoever she is, and that's why he totally just broke off and said, nope, not doing this anymore, not training everyone, because the whole thing about Return of the Jedi is it's the Return of the Jedi, and Luke was already starting to build up the Jedi Academy and train people again, and Kylo Ren was the beginning of that. So, but then he was seduced and at the dark side. So, like, did he kill Luke's wife and totally destroy everything Luke was trying to build? So he said no more and went into exile.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe is Rey his daughter, and he left her behind.
And I think that once we know who Rey's parents are, that
mm-hmm.
may answer some more questions. Because I mean, if she's Luke's kid, I would think that if Kylo Ren killed his wife, that Luke would know he had a kid, and I don't see Luke abandoning.
Well,
his
I wonder if because everybody seems everybody seems so bleak and hopeless. Well, the characters from the original trilogy do.
Mm-hmm.
They just seem like, all hope is lost because this one thing, like Han and Leia are separated because their son has turned to the dark side and become, this pawn for this General Snoke. Or is it General? I don't remember what his name was.
Supreme
Leader. That's
Snoke.
what it was. Thank you.
Yeah.
Too many titles.
Yes.
Anyway, and so is he like, okay, yeah, he's like, I can't risk training any more of my family because they all have the dark side, because my father turned to the dark side and I almost turned to the dark side. Now my nephew turned to the dark side. I don't want my daughter to turn to the dark side, so I'm just gonna abandon her somewhere because this is for the best, which is really stupid. But
it sounds like something the doctor would do.
She was very young when she got abandoned, and I don't think Rey and Kylo Ren that far apart in age. So
possibly.
I don't know, because because Kylo looks like he could easily be late 20s, early 30s, and Rey looks like she's probably early 20s.
How early he turned to the dark side, and
right.
Yeah.
There's timing there that we don't know yet.
Rey is Luke's daughter, and if he abandoned her after Kylo Ren turned to the dark side, then that happened quite a while ago.
True. And also kind of remember with the prequels, remember with Palpatine, with the quicker he used the dark side of the Force, the quicker he aged. So possible maybe Kylo's, because of him kind of using dark side, using good, that it's kind of finagling with the body structure a little bit. I mean,
it could be
off base.
It's an interesting perspective, yeah.
That could be. I don't know. I'm just trying to make this work in my head.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, the more it falls apart.
Because we don't know.
What about the funniest parts of the movie? My favorite funny part was when they're looking at the hologram of the Starkiller base, and they're like, "Oh yeah, here's this is the last Death Star, and this is the Starkiller base," and then they're like, "What should we do?" And Han's like, "Well, there's got to be a way to blow it up."
Yeah.
Well,
or when he borrowed Chewie's crossbow, and he's like, "I kind of like this."
Han had all the best lines. Like, I like this one.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I guess this isn't really a funny line, but it kind of is what was her name? The lady with the orange head, the new Yoda.
Maz Kanata.
Maz Kanata, yeah. Her. I loved her. I stinking loved her. She was amazing.
I never heard it. That's a good
more
point. I never heard anybody say that she's like the new Yoda. That's interesting. I never thought about that.
I don't know. That's just kind of the feeling I got from her. I mean, she's not a Jedi, but she is. She follows the ways of the Force, and all these
She's
things.
force sensitive, kind of.
Force sensitive, yeah. And, and she's kept Luke's lightsaber and all these different things, but she was just, just her character, and maybe it's because I likened her to Yoda almost immediately when she started, talking about all that kind of stuff, but she just, maybe it was the performance, maybe it was just maybe a mix of things, but I'm like, I want more of her, like, bring her back, and let's do some cool stuff with her, because
she's run that place, where they found her, she's run that place for over 1,000 years, so she's over 1,000 years old.
Right. She mentions that she's seen the universe change hands so many times when it comes to, she said she goes the Sith, then the Republic, then the Empire. So the point is, like, we've seen in the canon movies the Republic, and then we saw the Empire, and then now we see, I guess, like, the new Republic.
The First Order and the Resistance, and
right.
It's like the broken up Empire.
The Sith, she mentioned the Sith, so that's in the expanded universe. So she kind of confirmed that was true, because at one point, like, I forget, Holly, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's called the Intergalactic War or something like that, or the Hyperspace War, where the
something
Sith,
like that.
The Sith actually won, and they ruled the galaxy pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the Dark Empire thing with Luke turning to the dark side, and then Emperor clones, and then yeah,
I did read the Emperor clone theory somewhere.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Okay, I was like, where did I see that now?
I'm thinking
I've read back in the day some books with Emperor clones.
Mm-hmm. That seems like something. Yeah.
If she's been around that long, that's amazing that she's got all this information about it, because she could reveal some stuff in the next movies that would really help.
Yeah, she's gonna be really important in moving the story forward, especially because another thing I kind of feel like I feel like we're missing so much between the 30 years between End of Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, and not just with our main core cast, but just how the First Order came, like it just sort of reassembled itself from what was left of the Empire, and the new stormtroopers and all those kinds of things.
The First Order reminds me of what the Mandalorians are, but they're like really well funded. Like the Mandalorians basically are like warriors they are on Mandalore, and then they got kicked off of Mandalore, so then they basically set up this like cult society up on the moon above Mandalore, and then that's where like you see like Boba Fett's armor. That's like where Jango Fett came from, and that whole like what you see that armor looking like,
Well, listen, that like Captain Phasma, she was supposed to be sort of a Boba Fett analog, maybe I guess is the word.
Yeah.
She went in the trash compactor.
She wasn't in there much.
I wonder if she was in the trash compactor when the Starkiller base
went up. Funny moments when Han asked about the garbage chute, a trash compactor.
Yeah.
Well, and that works because Finn worked sanitation when he was on Starkiller base.
Nice little nod to the first movie, and then when they're in the Falcon, we see the chessboard reactivate.
Let the Wookiee win.
The practice target thing that Luke had used when Ben was training him, that got tossed around when they were looking for parts.
I know you noticed. I didn't notice. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I pointed at Rachel when you said that because I was like, "Did you see that?" And
he nudged me during the movie, and I'm like, "What?" And after the movie's over, he's like, "It was Luke's practice sphere thing when he was learning the training sphere." I'm like, okay, well, I missed it. I'm sorry. I'll look for it better next time.
The other thing was, so this is my take on C-3PO's arm. Like, so he had a red arm, right? It was replacement arm. Is it that he got his new arm, or he got his original arm back because it's been sitting in the Millennium Falcon this whole time?
Possible.
So that's what I'm thinking. I mean, they never explained it, but that's the only thing I can think of. Because the last time we saw him without his arm,
there was a red protocol droid that matched C-3PO's new arm.
Right, but I'm saying at the end of the movie, he has his old arm back on. And the only reason that old arm would have showed up is because maybe it was still in the Millennium Falcon. Because remember in Return of the Jedi,
when it was disassembled by the Ugnaughts.
Yeah.
Or shot by the or a stormtrooper, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're trying to fix the hyperdrive, and he's yelling at R2 because his arm is off, and he's like, you should be fixing me while R2's fixing the hyperdrive. And I don't think he ever gets fixed at all. So then they must, at that point, after they, at the end of Jedi, they must just put another protocol droid arm on that's red. And he's just had that
and he's been waiting for his old arm for 30 years.
30 plus years.
That's so funny.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things that'll get explained later along with everything else.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, here's another question.
Mm-hmm.
How does Rey know how to speak Wookiee?
Android.
Android, among other things.
She must have learned being a scavenger on Jakku.
She's been and encountered other Wookiees. So I've questioned the whole language thing in the Star Wars universe when we were watching, the first 6, especially with Han and all that.
It's gravity.
It's weird because it's like in Doctor Who, everybody can understand each other because the TARDIS translates everything for you. So no matter what planet you go to, as long as the TARDIS translation circuits are working, you can understand and all that. But in Star Wars, you see Han talking to Greedo and Jabba the Hutt and Chewie and all these others, and Han is speaking English, yet all those other creatures, he understands them, and they understand him without speaking the same language.
It's one of the things about Star Wars that's different from Star Trek is that they can present abstract things like that and not explain it at all. Like in Star Trek, they'll explain it. They have universal translators. Star Wars, I don't think they've ever explained that unless it's been like expanded universe book. The other big thing that people bring up that's similar is the physics don't quite work out. Like in space, they don't ever show you that you can be weightless in space in Star Wars, which in Star Trek they do show that. And then like the technology explanations are never that important in Star Wars, and I think that is the assumption with the language stuff too, is like the education isn't necessarily ever explained on how these people know how to understand what other people are saying, and it's okay. I mean, it's more of a go with me kind of situation.
Yeah.
I
guess it has to be. Yeah. And I mentioned this the other day after we left the theater that I found it funny that we had several occasions where there were different species speaking different languages, but it was only the 2 gangs that we got subtitles for it.
Someone in the movie actually did mention, you understand what that thing's saying? And they were talking about Chewbacca. I think Finn said that. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, because Finn didn't understand Wookiee.
Yeah, Finn didn't get it. Well, even in the original trilogy, not everybody understood Chewie. Like, Han did, and Lando, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And Leia now finally understands Chewie, so we know that she's been around him for
long enough.
Well, I mean, he's been around long enough for the, they had a kid, and
exactly.
For them for a little bit.
She wasn't in it much, and that's probably because she's a wild card.
Yeah.
No offense to Carrie Fisher.
But okay, let me explain. This is how I felt about Carrie Fisher, I guess, because last time I saw Carrie Fisher in a movie was Return of the Jedi. So it was kind of hard for me, or for my brain to reconcile. Okay, this is Carrie Fisher. She is Leia, but it was really hard for me to accept this person on screen is Leia. Now, where I accepted Harrison Ford as Han Solo more easily because I have seen him in things since Return of the Jedi. So I've seen him age. I've seen him get older. So I'm like, yeah, this is Harrison Ford. So I think that was kind of my theory on, okay, I know this is Carrie Fisher, I know this is Leia, but I'm having such a hard time, accepting that in my mind that this is actually Princess Leia. And I don't know, maybe it was just me. I'm sure it was just me, but it was...
really didn't do a lot of acting bits after Return of the Jedi. She kind of focused on writing and that, so...
Well, and her history is known to most people that she did not have the best time of it once she became uber famous from being in Star Wars, that she had a very rough go of it, and it has affected her. She's aged way more than she probably would have if she had not had these substance abuse issues that she had when she was younger. So that makes it a little tougher. It's also made her a bit of a loose cannon when out in public. She was at Comic-Con earlier this year, and I didn't go to her panel. I didn't meet her, but from what I understand, she made it a habit of dumping glitter on people when they'd come up to get an autograph, whether they wanted it or not. So she's not. I'm sure she's a very lovely woman, but she said if you watch interviews with her, she has no filter, which in itself is probably a good thing, because is yay for women in Hollywood to not be all like, well, she's very open about everything, but at the same time she's I'm trying to be very PC about it. She's a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, I know when she was
that's saying using the word crazy is ableist, and she is mentally disabled.
Yeah.
She's
had a rough go of life.
When she was in Salt Lake for Fan X, and this was the one I didn't get to go to this one last year, because of work and money and stuff. But I do remember she got to do a short panel, because at first she wasn't going to do one at all because of some contract thing with Force Awakens, and they didn't want to risk getting any spoilers out. So she wasn't going to do a panel at first, but then she did. She ended up doing like a short 20-minute one, and what I heard about it, this is all coming secondhand. What I heard about it is that she was very funny, and like she when she was on stage, she asked for a Diet Coke, and someone, like one of the fans in the audience, ran and got it for her and went up and took it to her on the stage, and she came down and gave him a hug. She's like, "Oh, my hero," sort of thing, getting her her drink and something. I remember that, and it was So I mean, and there were people, like you said, the glitter thing happened here as well, as I heard people say about that. But yeah, she's like you said,
she's had a rough go of it. Let's leave it at that.
She is unpredictable.
Yes,
but I think that's kind of.
Her dog is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw the thing about her dog at the premiere, and
his tongue's always hanging out.
Yeah. That is. I mean, and I have heard, and I haven't read her book, but I have a friend who has listened to the audiobook for Wishful Drinking, which apparently she read the audiobook version of that, and apparently it is a hoot. And so I'm like, I need to find that and listen to it, because I think I would enjoy that. And then, if you look up on YouTube, they had there was an event honoring George Lucas. I think it was the AFI's. Best of. They were doing something to honor George Lucas, and she got up and spoke. And you look it up on YouTube, it's George Lucas, AFI George Lucas, Carrie Fisher. Just search that on YouTube. It is the funniest darn thing you have ever watched. Like she basically just does a stand-up roast of George Lucas, and she says something like, "Now, thanks to George, I have to, I pay him $100 every time I look in the mirror because he owns my likeness." She's a lot more funnier in it, but it's great.
That is funny. Yeah. And how much, like I said, they've said that everyone is coming back. If Leia will get a larger, I imagine she will, as we get more involved in Kylo Ren's story, because I think that maybe we're going to see a lot of parallels to the prequels with because Kylo has not completely turned to the dark side.
No, he
yet.
has. He's
And
still on that.
There's gonna be. I think that there's gonna be a redemption storyline. Is where we're gonna go with this, and it's gonna be Luke along with Leia, because mother's love is always a strong thing, as we've seen in Harry Potter.
I really don't think so.
And Rey, that I think that there's potential that they could go with saving Kylo Ren from the dark side and achieving what Obi-Wan couldn't with Anakin.
Yeah.
The Star Wars universe
I almost
is bleak.
wanted, because there was that moment, and I actually thought the movie was going to end here, was when they Star Killer Base from that, and then everyone's off celebrating because they survived and they succeeded in their mission.
Mm-hmm.
And then, here comes Rey off the Millennium Falcon. Chewie is carrying Finn off to get, medical attention. So here comes Rey, and Leia comes up, and they don't say anything. Rey and Leia just kind of look at each other and give each other a hug. And I thought I'm like, okay, are we going to find out about Rey's backstory here? Does Leia know something?
Because
I kind
there
of
was
feel
just
like
something
there's
going on between that hug and that look. It was just like,
yeah,
ooky.
And I totally thought that the movie was just going to end there, and I was kind of disappointed. It's like, I haven't seen Luke yet. Because that did feel like the climax, but then it's like, oh, we're gonna go find Luke. So there goes Chewie, R2, and Rey in the Falcon to go find Luke, and we got that ending there. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's something more with Leia and Rey to come. So I hope you're right that Leia's gonna get more, and I hope Carrie Fisher gets to do more with the character there. Because I feel like there's something else going on there. And, maybe fill in some more of that gap of the 30 years. Like, what happened specifically with her and Han. Because I'm just kind of bothered that they weren't together. And they didn't really get that, figure things out and be a couple again. Because I'm just,
I so
it's a
wanted...
stupid thing to fixate on because there's so much else going on. Yeah. But it's Han and Leia. Come on.
Yeah. I told Chauncey that, even if there wasn't a chance for them to maybe get back together as a couple, but they obviously still care for each other.
Yes.
And, because they've got that bond because they have a child together. And when they were having their moment before Han left the Resistance base, and I so wanted to have one of them be like, I still love you, and the other to go, I know. I so wanted that to happen. Like, you can still love each other and not be together. Say it. Say the thing.
I know. I'm like, there are people that are just like, that are, Han and Leia. Like you said, it's their first OTP. Let's say that. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, they just sort of fell apart, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I've seen people just rant about this online, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm quite to that level of ranting yet, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. Star Wars has been a tragedy from the beginning if you consider the perspective of the individual characters. Like, especially like Obi-Wan, it's like the terrible things they go through, the ups and downs, the roller coasters, and in the end, it's like they kind of put their best foot forward and then they're gone. And that's the sad part about Star Wars, is if you think about it from the perspective of these light side characters, is they always do their best, but they don't quite solve everything, and
but you look at the Skywalker family, it's like, yeah, y'all are kind of bad news bears. You had some serious bad luck.
There's never been a happily ever after that I can think of in the whole universe, the whole saga, and that's just one of the things that goes generally in the way the Star Wars universe happens. Is it's just too diverse and it's too dynamic as far as like people forcing upon other people. Like, I mean, just the reality of Rey's life as an orphan, I guess you could say. Not even an orphan, just a solitary person is basically. I mean, it's like glorified slavery what she was doing there on Jakku.
Pretty much, yeah.
So,
and I thought that was like nodding to Anakin's origins, where he was a slave, and I was like, oh, she totally is a Skywalker because they're doing this and all that kind of thing, and it's like, because like I said, the more I think about it, the more it falls apart.
Yeah.
Just all these little things.
Yeah.
I mean, she may be a Skywalker, but the thing is, that's what everybody's predicting, and I tend to think that that's what they want everyone to think, so they can twist it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure though there's like some twist that's gonna come that's
I wouldn't mind if she wasn't a Skywalker, because I kind of like the found family narrative that they started in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I just feel like because they're making her to be this big important
biological family, but now she's she's essentially starting to become a Jedi and adopted into the Skywalker solo family.
It's just, I get that. It's just that there's so many things that are that point to her being. The only word I can think of to use is important, but I don't know if that's quite the right word.
Well, I think she is important regardless of who her parentage is.
Yeah.
She's obviously a very strong force wielder. She doesn't have the training to go behind it. But and Chauncey was mentioning that the other day, and he was commiserating how like the Jedi mind trick that she did on James Bond.
I know, I'm listening to his voice, I'm like, I know that voice. Why do I know that voice?
I will tighten these restraints and not open the door. He throws his gun on the ground.
Like, and leave your gun. Clunk.
Clunk, yeah. But he's like, he was questioning how she was able to do that. And I said, well, it's probably a combination of, one, she's obviously very strong and one with the Force just in general. So that has a lot to do with it. It's like someone having a natural athletic ability. Somebody that can pick up a basketball and be able to shoot free throws and three-pointers and all that, as opposed to someone that really has to practice at it. But two, again, when she was with Finn and they meet Han, and she says that they're stories and Han says it's true, obviously word has gotten out with the things that we saw happen in the previous films, and she knew those stories even though she thought they were legends. But when she found out they were real, she was all like, well, if it's real and I've already had this experience with that lightsaber, that I'll give this a shot and see if it works. It wouldn't be any different than if we found out that the Force was actually real. We'd all be going up to like our moms or our brothers or whatever saying, you will give me your cookies. It's the exact same thing. We would all be doing that.
Yes.
You see people do that all the time just in jest, even though we know that, the Force is not real. People will go up and like, you will give me your French fries,
Yeah. So, go watch the Piano Guys Cello Wars all the way to the end, and Stephen Sharp Nelson is like, you will like this video. You will not leave a lame comment of this video. You will start cello lessons. Like, that joke is just there, and it's so funny.
Exactly. So, I think it was...
And people waving their hands to open automatic doors.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. I mean, exactly. I do that like absent-mindedly. I'm coming up to an automatic door and I just kind of my hands to my side and I just kind of wave it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I totally opened that with the Force. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So it's not. It wasn't too much of a shock to me when she did the mind trick and it actually worked.
Trying to use the Force to when they know it's not going to happen, like trying to reach a remote across the room and like trying to get it to their hand, and then finally they give up and
either the Force or Harry Potter. I'm all like, I need a wand so I can go Accio remote control,
So I've been paying attention a lot to like who's the master of the, the Star Wars canon, because now George Lucas is out of the picture, and
thank goodness.
You can really pay attention to when you watch their YouTube stuff about just anything. It's really the torch is being passed to a gentleman named Dave Filoni, and then there's also this other gentleman named Pablo Hidalgo. And between those two guys, they mostly... So Dave Filoni is kind of the brain genius behind the Clone Wars cartoon, and then now the Star Wars Rebels. And then Pablo Hidalgo, he's kind of the keeper of the story in general when it comes to all of Star Wars canon, and he can explain like many little details and stuff. Well, if you really think about it, if they really are the canon kind of holders, then whoever's directing the next movie is going to kind of be at their whim. And they've invested, significant amount of story throughout the Clone Wars cartoon into a character named Ahsoka Tano. And Ahsoka was Anakin's apprentice and was basically through, I want to say, misunderstandings, banished from the Jedi Order. So then when they finally admitted their mistake and let her back in, she said, well, I'm not sure I want to be part of this anymore. And this is about the time, this was imminent time for Order 66 to come through and destroy most of the Jedi. She had basically gone and left and gone into exile. And she's since returned in the new Star Wars Rebels movie, so we know she's still alive, and then she's kind of disappeared from that. I could probably bet money that she's going to be in the live action films, just because of the amount of investment they put into that character, as far as how much screen time she's been on the screen, how much backstory they put into her, and just how much Dave Filoni really loves her as a character. And
well, if Rey convinces Luke to teach her the ways of the Force and the ways of the Jedi, which
she's still
she
out
probably
there.
will be,
right.
That if Luke does decide to take her on and realizes that he's not a failure, he actually can teach someone, and then even if Luke decides to, retire or whatever after that, if Rey decides to rebuild the Jedi Order, then Ahsoka would be a good ally to bring in.
Yes.
To help rebuild the Jedi.
Business speaking, more too, Ahsoka's way more well known to the millennials, than any other Jedi character, I think. If you ask any kind of Star Wars fan that was born in the late 90s, early 2000s, they probably know Ahsoka more than they know Luke Skywalker, to be honest. Just talking about to my little cousins and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Of course they know Darth Vader and everything like that, but
everybody knows Darth Vader.
She's one of those unsung heroes that I think will all of a sudden pop up and become like a big deal. And I'm just making a prediction there.
It's just a possibility, because, as far as the expanded universe, the books and the comics and all that are not canon, but Rebels and Clone Wars are. Those are considered canon.
Yep.
So they could easily pull from those and not be too confusing. Which is good. So.
I feel like now I should start watching some more of that extended universe TV stuff.
It's one of those things that I'm like, I've been meaning to get to.
Yeah,
and I just haven't.
It's really well done. I would say this is not a cartoon. Like, it's not one of those throwaway cartoons. I watched the Clone Wars and then I rewatched the Clone Wars, and I never watch stuff like that.
Okay.
It's got the Chauncey stamp of approval.
I thoroughly enjoyed the
like
areas,
it, you will.
The areas of Star Wars they explore that you realize, oh my gosh, this cartoon is going deeper than almost any other on-screen thing. I mean, one of the things they do that I told Rachel about is Yoda visits the homeworld of the Sith, which is called Korriban, and it's like, that's crazy. I mean, that people don't even pay attention, I think, to the whole cartoon because it's a cartoon, but it's like there's an episode with Yoda going to the Sith homeworld. I mean, there's so much explained there in the backstory of the Sith versus the Jedi. It's crazy, and just to sit and contemplate after you watch some of those episodes, it's a lot of fun.
Add it to your list.
Yeah, sorry,
It's
you guys
on
have
the
so much to
list.
watch.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of lists.
Lots of lists. It's a good problem to have.
Right.
Sometimes.
I like this problem.
Yeah.
Then I'm not sitting here going like, what should I watch next?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It's more like, where do I start?
Yeah, really.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's like I've got so many things.
I think the good news about the Clone Wars
So
and
does the animated movie come before the series?
yes, so the animated movie is like an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, something like that, and then
Netflix is saying an hour and 38 minutes.
okay, it's basically like the start off of the whole tone of the Clone Wars, but it's not the most amazing of all of it. But I mean, I would recommend watching the movie first and then watching all the TV shows.
Okay, because I
didn't know there was a movie
on Netflix,
Yeah.
and I got the Clone Wars movie and the Clone Wars series, which is 6 seasons.
Yes.
Yeah. It's worth it. I mean, the
And
fighting.
I just accidentally started it. Oops.
The Star Wars.
Copyright.
The-
Sorry, but by accident.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
Just
So
the-
it happens.
The
It
general
No
depth
big.
of fighting in the Clone Wars cartoon is better than I think a lot of the fighting in the movies, as far as like just how clever the strategies are and just little the
Well, they
the
can
tight
do a
spots
lot
they get
more
into.
with the animation, right?
Right, and I say Anakin Skywalker is a much better character in the cartoons than he is in the movies. You'll actually really enjoy Anakin. I think he's a really clever guy.
Yeah.
He's tolerable.
I mean,
At the
he's,
very least.
he's a bit
now I
annoying
need to
at
check this
times,
out
but
because-
he's yeah.
Have you guys seen? Well, you probably have. There's I think it's Belated Media that they do the What If Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3 were good.
Yeah.
And he just did one, or he just uploaded his version of Star Wars Episode 3, and we actually watched all three of his, like, they're all hypotheticals, like how to fix the prequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like watching it. Then the last two he did, they actually had like really good storyboards and things like that. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, I want that movie now. Because like the characters are. I mean, you can search it on YouTube, just like what if Star Wars Episode 1 or whatever one was good.
In my recommended videos.
Yeah, like
Can't
we
say I have.
watched all three, and like at the end of the third video, and like it's just this guy talking over some storyboards, and it was like the end of it was just so like bleak, and yet it led perfectly into A New Hope, and like it just, the whole story just felt so much more organic, I guess, and like it wasn't just a paint by the numbers sort of thing. It felt like an actual Star Wars movie, and he did a lot of really cool things with some secondary characters that I'm like, I didn't know that I wanted that, and now I do. So I'm like, so
I'll have to
yeah,
check
if
that
you
out.
can find those on YouTube, it's to watch all three of them all at once. It's maybe a little less than an hour long.
Along those same lines, I'll recommend if you're wanting to watch Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6 for the first time, or show somebody for the first time, there's something called Star Wars the Despecialized version, and it's a fan creation that is basically a restoration project where they've taken what they consider to be the most accurate to what was the theatrical releases in the 70s and 80s, and then they've taken the HD versions and then edited them and then removed things.
Removed the George
digitally,
Lucas cut.
like edited out things, and then also digitally removed things, and then basically did color correction, matched them all up, and tried to get it exactly the way it was when it was released in theaters, except now in HD. And you can get those off of torrents. I
Well,
believe.
they just announced that they are going to be releasing a Blu-ray box set, and it's the unedited, un-George Lucas
Oh,
re-edited versions of the
Okay,
original
all
trilogy.
right.
Really, that is official, because I've seen like rumors of that happening.
No, I've
it's
seen.
always just
I think I've seen a few people share it on Facebook, but they are going to be releasing a Blu-ray, un-George Lucas touched version of the original trilogy.
Some people say poor George Lucas. I say no. That guy is way too stubborn for a lot of things when it comes to the releasing
Yeah.
that.
Nobody ever told him no, and they should have.
Exactly. That's the way to say it.
Yeah.
There was some things like on.
It's been a long time coming, and it's a good time to do it while Star Wars is on everybody's, now that it's becoming mainstream again, because we're getting movies for at least the next 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
So, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe potentially winds down, we're gonna ramp up on the Star Wars universe, and
Which is a good thing.
yes, very good thing.
next is Rogue Squadron.
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Yep.
And then.
And then Episode 8. They're supposed to start filming Episode 8 next month.
2 years.
Yeah, and then we're supposed to get the Han Solo.
500 and something days to episode 8.
Episode 8, yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing time we're living in right now.
It is.
Yes. What times we are living in.
Mm-hmm. Gonna keep whipping out the bank card at the movie theater.
Hey, you know what? If you're going to give me this kind of entertainment, I will happily fork over my money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am not complaining.
Absolutely.
So,
Anything else?
yeah, R2-D2. Why did he wake up so late?
We know. I explained it to you.
I know.
Was
but
he on? I thought he
explain it
was
to
on
them.
like a timer or something.
No, J.J. Abrams explained it. Entertainment. If you go on Entertainment Weekly's either Facebook page or their website, they've been posting like almost every day, if not a couple times a day, since the movie came out. They had a interview with J.J. Abrams after, I guess they had seen it, or after the premiere earlier this week or whatever, where J.J. explains stuff in more detail for the people that are confused. And according to J.J. Abrams, that the whole thing with R2-D2 was he was on low power mode, which was essentially droid depression.
Aww.
After Luke went into exile and didn't take him with him. So he stayed that. Yeah.
Luke.
Yeah, so he essentially put his droid into a depressive state, and R2-D2 has been that way ever since. However, BB-8 was right when C-3PO made the comment that what makes you think that R2-D2 has the map in his system. And according to JJ, R2-D2 did have it. Obviously, we saw it. He got the map all the way back in A New Hope when he plugs himself into the Death Star's mainframe. He ends up downloading a bunch of information from the Empire's like computer archive, and part of that...
Right, because Kylo Ren mentions that they get that whole map from the archive anyway.
Right. So R2 had downloaded that, I'm assuming along with other stuff, and it kept it in R2's database or systems for all these years, and it just kind of sat there because nobody thought to look and see if there was any sort of important data. Because I think their biggest concern was, it initially was the plans for the Death Star and all that. So,
yeah.
But R2, when he's uncovered by BB-8, and BB-8 is, doing his little droid speak to him, beep, bop, beep, boop, all this stuff, and C-3PO is like, oh, he's been powered down for years. And apparently, if you speak droid, what BB-8 said to R2-D2 was essentially, hey, I have part of this map. Do you happen to have the rest of it? And because R2 had been powered down for so long, or had been on low power for so long, that he heard BB-8, but it took his system that amount of time from that scene to when we see him power up for his system to take what BB-8 said, run it through his system, check, find the data, and power him back up. So it was BB-8 that brought R2-D2 back to full power and out of his depression.
Pretty neat.
Okay, I will take that then.
One funny prediction I heard on Red Letter Media was that since the Sith like to use intimidating tactics, we have obviously Kylo Ren's wearing that helmet that modulates his voice in a way that makes him appear to be intimidating and sound intimidating. Well, the Supreme Leader Snoke, his hologram has to be 4 stories tall there. And the theory is that he's only actually like 2 feet tall or 3 feet tall.
I don't think that's the case.
And he's just doing that to make people feel intimidated.
Yeah. I guess the whole thing with Snoke is that I was just reading something that he actually is I guess larger than what we'd expect. I don't think he's that large.
So this plays into my theory.
But his face and the way his face is constructed, one is a kind of an indicator of who he might actually be, but they don't want to give everything away quite yet, which I think is why we only see him in hologram form.
Right.
Yeah.
But his facial structure, they weren't convinced they could do it with prosthetics, and that's why they did the motion capture with Andy Serkis for Snoke.
Right.
Yeah.
I subscribe to the theory that a lot of the fans have, which is that he is Darth Plagueis, either inhabiting, like, in the form of, like, another person that he's, like, possessed, or he is Darth Plagueis himself, like, just reincarnated somehow. Because Darth Plagueis was, if you don't know, was Palpatine or Darth Sidious's train, or, his master.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, he's basically back to finish the plan that he set out to do originally that Palpatine tried to complete.
So really, Kylo Ren, when he says he's trying to finish what you started, and he's talking to Darth Vader, really he's trying to finish what potentially Snoke started.
Right, but he's motivated because it was his grandfather's plan, and like the whole point of the Sith, really, like their whole goal is to just rule the universe. Like that's
pretty much, yeah.
It's that simple. They just want to be in control.
Like the Daleks.
Yeah. So.
We could pull a lot of Doctor Who parallels here with the Star Wars.
Well, it's all sci-fi, so it all works on some level.
And also kind of the flying of the Millennium Falcon there. It was just like, yikes.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved the whole thing. Is like they're running by. It's like, not that ship. It's a piece of garbage. The one blows up. Let's go to the garbage.
The garbage works, and it pans over, and
it's the Millennium Falcon, and the whole theater just
woo.
When it panned over to the Millennium Falcon and we see it on screen, a bunch of people in my theater applauded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Millennium Falcon got applause.
There were a couple of those moments. I think, when they were waiting for the door to open to the Millennium Falcon after they'd been, tractor beamed, and Han and Chewie come in, everybody starts cheering about that.
Yeah. There were several times where the audience would cheer when somebody appeared.
Those creatures that Han and Chewie had, that was hilarious to me. Because it's like, if you think about it, Han, he's a smuggler, but he's basically like a big game hunter now.
Mm-hmm.
He just takes whatever job pays.
Right.
Pays the bills.
Yep.
Really. He's trying to make a living. Can't blame him for that.
Nope.
But yeah, that was hilarious. I love where... I asked you this, but you guys, if you bit that appears on the screen that came out of the trailer, you're like, oh, that was in the trailer.
One thing I thought was far-fetched was when Starkiller Base fired, like, it wasn't one beam. It had like several beams that blew up several planets. I was like, what was that?
I did not expect that. Like, the beam, it came out and it was like so slow. I'm like, why is that so slow? But then it started to separate. And I'm like, what's it doing? And then it hit several planets. I'm like, oh, crap.
Yep.
Did they blow up Coruscant? I mean, it looked like they kind of did there.
Was that Coruscant?
It would make sense, because that's where the Galactic Senate is. And they were talking about how the Senate, they would bring down the old... What did that guy say when he was doing his Adolf Hitler speech?
Yeah, it was like...
I don't remember. All I was looking at was, this is like the Nazis.
Yeah, they look just like the Nazis, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's what George was going for in the first place with the Empire.
Yeah, the stormtroopers and all that. But it sounded like they wanted to hit like the old Republic where it hurt, and taking out Coruscant, which is home of the Senate, would make sense.
It was a big middle finger to the prequels in the first place.
That too.
Yeah, that is true.
When the Starkiller Base first fired, I'm like, I wonder what the range on that thing is. Like, how far away is
right.
it?
Well, they did mention their hyperspace.
Target.
They mentioned their hyperspace beams, so they're beams that travel at the speed of light or whatever.
Okay, because it isn't. I mean, this was built in a planet, so it's not like they could steer the planet to. Okay, let's go to this place and blow this place up. No, they kind of have to, be within a certain range. But yeah,
Death Star compared to Starkiller Base.
True.
Like, someone compared it with it's like the Death Star. It's like, now this is the Death Star.
Yeah.
This Starkiller Base.
Right.
Yep.
Here's my thinking with that. It was they they wanted to blow up several planets, and like you notice the pace of the movie was very fast paced. Even though it was a 2-hour movie, it was like super fast paced.
It was more than 2 hours.
Yeah, but like like they decided they wanted to blow up several planets. It's like, well, let's not do a build up where it just fires and kills one at a time. Let's just have the beam split apart, and then they're all traveling their different directions, and they do it all at once. But like that's my thinking on why they had it split apart, because it really doesn't add to the story that the Star Killer base can blow up multiple planets per one shot. And actually, I think the original theory behind the Star Killer base, from the just predictions people were making, was that it shot the sun around a system, and then the sun blew up and killed all the planets instead of it individually shooting the planets themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a nerd theory.
Nerd theories are good. Now, I think this trivia is correct, but I'm not entirely sure because no one's really talked about it. But back when George was first developing the story of Star Wars, wasn't Luke's last name actually Starkiller?
It was.
Yep.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I kept because I've been looking up a bunch of things, and I keep waiting for someone to like say, "Oh, by the way, here's this bit of trivia," and no one said a word about it, and I'm like, "Did I make that up?" But okay, so I was right.
I think it was San Diego Comic-Con. JJ said that it's like a nod to Luke's original name.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Which is why I keep second guessing myself when I'm like, is it the Star Killer base? Wait, that was Luke's original last name, but wait, confuses me. Like, but now that you say it that way, then it's like, oh yeah, it's an homage, so that makes sense. So, I'm sure that there's all sorts of other Easter eggs that have gone completely over my head and probably your head and lots of people's heads, and as you wait, as the weeks go by on social media, that people will point those out. And you'll be like, oh, okay.
Did you guys see early on there that they did reveal that there's a small Batmobile on the Millennium Falcon?
Just Batmobile?
Yeah, there's like this video, if you go back in the Star Wars YouTube page, way back in like, I don't know, a year and a half ago, and they're like filming the real Millennium Falcon prop they created that's like full scale. And they take a camera up underneath it, and they go right to this one spot, and it's basically the modern Batmobile, like the Rambler or whatever. And it's painted to look like it's part of the tech hodgepodge that's on the outside of the Millennium Falcon, but it's there. It's on the underside.
That's funny. Didn't the Millennium Falcon at one point, like in one of the cuts, or one of the shots or whatever, didn't have fuzzy dice hanging off the...
I don't know, I haven't heard that. I know that's part of Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Right? Don't they do that in Spaceballs? Oh, and by the way, aren't they creating new Spaceballs now?
Yeah, so I didn't really put that in the news, but Spaceballs, the search for more money. It's actually going to happen.
How they're going to do it, but they'll work something out, I'm sure.
If anyone can make it happen, it is Mel Brooks.
It is, maybe they'll do what they did with Force Awakens, and they'll get, whoever from the first movie are still around and wants to do it, and then they'll just put in they'll get like new characters and do like a passing of the torch, as it were.
They're gonna have to comb the desert.
Oh, Spaceballs.
I love it. I'm so excited.
Yes, it is very exciting.
I've been waiting for this to happen for a long time.
And if it's not called The Search for More Money, I will be very disappointed.
Mel Brooks has said that's what he wants. He wants that to be the title.
I've heard that someone's saying it's been tentatively titled Spaceballs: The Search for More Money.
Yeah.
The Schwartz Awakens.
Yeah.
Oh
AKA The Schwartz Awakens. Oh, so funny.
Yes.
So if you've not seen Spaceballs, go do it. It's hilarious.
You are, yes. Your life is poorer for it. Go watch Spaceballs right now if you can find it. I'm sure you can.
Yeah. It's out there. It's available. Ooh, anything else?
The last thing I'm going to bring up is
Are we going to talk about the first 6 movies at all?
No, apparently not.
Apparently not. I think we kind of wove in a little bit of discussion of the first 6 movies during our, harkening back to Force Awakens, or, talking about Force Awakens, harkening back to the older stuff.
So the last thing I'm going to bring up is that Luke is at the original Jedi Temple. So, any thoughts about that?
It was mentioned in the movie that he'd gone searching for the first Jedi Temple.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, it apparently looks like a...
Ireland or like Scotland or wherever they filmed.
Archipelago in Scotland.
Yes.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
There's people over in the UK going, we had him the entire time!
Yeah. One thought I had was, if you notice, in the real world, that place was man-made, but, in the Star Wars universe, those are rocks all stacked, right? And it's if you think about it, if that was, the first Jedi temple, then maybe, you could suggest that all those rocks were stacked by trainees, training in the Force and stacking them with the Force.
It's funny, because when we first got the trailer, and we get that shot of Han and Chewie and BB-8 going into what looks like some sort of temple with all the colorful flags and all that. And I think you even said, I wonder if that's a Jedi temple or something. It's a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Well, it has the Mandalorian
flag.
I was like, that's got to be a pirate place or something.
It's a cantina.
Yeah.
Yep. I loved it even more.
It's pretty good.
Oh my goodness!
It didn't have catchy music.
That needs to be a location in Disney's Star Wars land.
Yeah. There's music. It wasn't quite as catchy as the original Cantina theme, but there was some music there. Shh, copyright. This goes on YouTube. We can't have any copyright music.
No, I can do 4 notes and that's it.
Yeah, something like that. Anything else?
Poe Dameron's
X-Wing is right now I'm sure I'll think of something. About.
I'm sure there's stuff that we've talked in our chat that doesn't necessarily need to. Not unless we want to talk about the random Matt Parkman from Heroes.
I know. I saw him and I'm like, oh, that was the only of all the cameos. There were some faces. I'm like, okay, I know I recognize you, but I don't know where. But then I saw Matt Parkman. I was like, I know him.
I know.
He's the new Porkins.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, where did you come from? Why are you here?
A little more huggable.
Yeah. I was like, what? How did you end up here? You're in the wrong universe, man.
That.
You belong in the Marvel universe.
Star Wars. They came out of the woodwork.
That's why he got. That's why he was so screwed up in Heroes. Because he was like, he's like, I don't got time for this. I got to go save a galaxy far, far away.
I guess. So, I kept looking for. Although it's kind of hard because on the little featurette that we got that showed some of the behind the scenes stuff, I was a bit lost trying to figure out who it was that Simon Pegg was playing, because we only saw him with his head off, so we never saw the full character. But apparently he's the guy that buys all the junk.
Oh, really?
On Jakku.
Oh. That's him?
Yeah, that's Simon Pegg.
That's a good character.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Watto from the prequels. Or, I guess like Uncle Owen.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite Uncle Owen. But
he's like
Watto, maybe.
Uncle Owen's like, Luke, you don't need to be gallivanting around. Just stay here and farm moisture.
With time, I think they'll release more and more hidden celebrities, because apparently where they filmed some of it was also close to where other things were being filmed. Like Simon Pegg was filming something that happened to be nearby. They filmed near one of the places they use for Spectre, and that's how Daniel Craig was able to make his appearance. So there's all sorts of celebrities underneath rubber masks and stormtrooper helmets that we don't know because they're uncredited.
It's kind of like, oh my gosh, they're filming a Star Wars movie over there. Let's see if we can go get a cameo.
Exactly.
And then they do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So with more and more time, they'll be like, yeah, that random alien over there, that's somebody famous that we didn't realize who it was.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, it's Whoopi Goldberg over there. I don't know. Hey, if you're in the neighborhood and like Chrissy said, if Star Wars is filming, you're gonna be like, hey, can throw a rubber mask on me.
Yeah, it's Star Wars, man. I'm like, I don't care. It's like you can be like the most prestigious, Oscar-nominated, critically acclaimed actor, and you still want to be in it, and it's like the Five-ish Doctors reboot.
Mm-hmm.
When they went in and wanted to get on the 50th anniversary, they're like, yeah, we'll wear a sheet, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pedal around in a Dalek.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can't blame them. Oh my!
Did you guys know at the premiere that who plays Chewbacca? What's his name? I can't remember.
Peter Mayhew.
Yeah, he wore that medal from New Hope, like the actual.
Yeah,
medal.
I heard that he wore his medal, Chewie's medal from A New Hope, to the premiere. Yeah. He's somewhat passed on the torch of Chewie now because it's so hard for him to get around.
He does it as an honorary thing.
The first Salt Lake Comic-Con. And then they were talking about how he was having knee surgery after he left Comic-Con.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So it was like
I saw somebody post on Facebook. They shared the Facebook post from the guy who also played Chewbacca for like the more actiony scenes where Chewie's actually like running around and all that Peter can't do. And the guy was like, after 2 years of keeping my mouth shut, I can finally let you know.
Yeah,
I was playing Chewbacca.
Like knowing that about Peter Mayhew and like watching how Chewie was running around doing all this stuff, I'm like, how is he doing all that? I thought he was had really bad knees and couldn't do all of that.
He wasn't.
And now that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Anthony Daniels did do C-3PO.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Kenny Baker consulted for R2-D2. He can't do R2 anymore.
Oh, because he was credited as R2-D2.
Yeah, but he didn't actually. He can't climb into R2 anymore and do it. So I'm not that R2 really did a whole lot in this movie anyway.
Next
True,
movie.
he just sort of sat there.
Going forward, somebody else is going to have to.
My prediction
to do
is
R2.
Like, the next movie, R2 and BB-8 will be like the lead shot of the movie doing something.
With C-3PO going, oh Lord, there's two of them together now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like my nerves can't handle this anymore.
Yes.
Like it'll be like a droid mission or something they'll be on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did any of us call that Han Solo was going to be the one to say the line?
Which line?
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh,
you said that.
No,
did I say that?
I didn't even think about
No,
that.
I said I thought it'd be funny if BB-8 said it.
Oh. You got a bad
Translated,
feeling
subtitled or something.
He may have, and they just didn't subtitle it, so we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
So, and now that we know Admiral Akbar is still around, we need to work in an opportunity for him to say it's a trap in one of the upcoming movies.
Yes.
You know, Admiral Akbar, if he is in the movie, then we're going to get some really...
I have a bad feeling about this. I checked my phone and I'm like, oh, this is, what, half an hour?
Yeah.
Half an hour into it?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's in the first half. Easily.
Well, it when I checked my phone, it was just after 11, so depending on when exactly the movie started, because it was a 10 o'clock showing.
Yeah.
Factor in the trailers, it probably started like 20 after.
Yeah. So definitely within the first hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, because I remember when we were doing the Star Wars with friends, where we would comment on how long it took for the first instance of, I have a bad feeling about this.
Right.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith gets that over pretty darn quick.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, check that off. Click.
So,
anyway.
Admiral Akbar,
because
do you think...
I remembered that we were talking about that for the first thing, I was like, okay, how long into the movie 7? Okay, about half an hour, 40 minutes?
Yep.
If you consider his rank as Admiral, that means that there is a fleet for the Resistance other than just, the X-Wings that we saw. So we didn't get to see the new Resistance fleet. There's probably going to be some sort of big space battle in the next movie, maybe. If we didn't really see much space battling in this one, it was always kind of terrestrial battling. I mean, there was the Star Destroyer,
which I am okay with. Something new.
Well, like when they get to the cantina and the two people from either side report that, hey, BB-8's here. I was like, I smell a battle.
It was funny when BB-8 was telling Rey that, hey, that guy over there's got my master's coat on. It was like a little kid saying, hey, that guy over there just said something to me. Go beat him up, Mom.
Like, that guy took my candy.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much. Oh, okay. We could probably talk all night if we
I know,
wanted
we
to.
probably could.
Oh, good. I can't see it again.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of glad that we decided to go ahead and wave the spoiler flag and just talk about episode 7. Because I think if we tried to keep this at just the first 6, this show would be a lot shorter.
Yep, that is true.
Unless we went on for an hour and a half about the George Lucas cuts. That's a show in itself.
Oh gosh. Okay, yeah.
Wow.
It would be a lot less fun. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to start breaking out the censor sound effect quite yet.
Yep. Yes.
We've gone this long.
That would go
other places to find discussions on the first 6.
Yeah.
You know what? What can we say about the first 6 that hasn't already been said? The prequels stink. A New Hope is pretty good. Empire's the best, but Return of the Jedi is the most fun. There you go. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, like I watched Return of the Jedi like the night before I went to see Force Awakens, and like, oh, this movie's so good.
Yes, it is. It's my favorite.
I haven't really rewatched. Like, I rewatched it when we watched for Star Wars with friends, but I don't remember having the same reaction to Empire as I did to Return. I'm like, I don't know. I think Return might be my favorite.
Oh yeah, it is. Well, it's my favorite, but it's definitely a good one. Anyway,
emotional stuff is just like,
there's a lot of payoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, and that's probably the limit of our discussion on the first 6. Yay! There you go. We talked about the first 6.
Yep.
We talked about them for like
the teddy
minutes.
bears. I like the teddy bears.
The Galactic Empire brought down by teddy bears with pointed sticks.
Yeah. My favorite part of the first 6 is the AT-ATs.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome.
They are.
That and Minox.
All right.
Yeah, Minox. Watch out for the Minox.
Minox.
Which I think Rey was living in a broken down AT-AT.
Yeah.
That's so
And
cool.
we just came back to the Force Awakens.
Yeah. Amazing how that works.
The AT-AT and the big, all the like the Star Destroyers and the AT-ATs wrecked.
It's like living in a shipwreck of the Titanic or something. Although I don't know, maybe that's a bad metaphor because the Titanic's underwater.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we know what you meant.
And Rey salvaging parts from that Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
hey, are we done?
I think we're done.
Now?
For now. If we kept going, we'd be doing this all night, and some of us do have to work in the morning.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I guess, let's see.
We're going to do this again next week, because we're going to be talking Doctor Who next week. So.
Yes, we will be talking Doctor Who Christmas. So if you want to send in feedback, dear listener, you can send it via our email at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com, and you can also go to our website, the fiveishfangirlspodcast.blogspot.com, and find us on Facebook and Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, iTunes, YouTube, Patreon, and I got it all. And you can, comment and leave stuff there. if you want to. And please do,
Mm-hmm.
if you feel so inclined.
Yep. All right. I'm all worked up now.
Oh, I'm so happy for you all.
I'm glad we all got to see it.
I am too. I was afraid I wasn't going to, but now I'm all caught up, so it's all good.
Yeah. Makes it much more fun. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we will sign off for this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
This is Rich saying goodnight from Kitchener, Ontario.
This is Chauncey in Indianapolis saying, Chewie, get us out of here.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. May the Force be with you.
So does this make Rachel Chewy?
I can't do the noise. Been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.